So, the results of the European election, the world's second largest democratic election, have now come in, and some are scratching their heads trying to figure out what all this means. Anne Applebaum in the Washington Post recently very aptly described it as a Rorschach test, where lots of people interpret it in lots of different ways. But we can objectively see a few clear trends. Firstly, the status quo has taken a beating. Though the centre-right People's Party and the centre-left Social Democrats remain the two largest parties, they have, for the first time in history, lost their joint majority. Which leads us to the second point, fragmentation. There's been a surge in smaller parties, notably the Greens and Liberals, as people are looking for political representation elsewhere. Climate change turns out to be on everyone's minds, especially amongst young people. The far-right parties have gained some seats too, albeit beneath their own expectations. With the exception of Salvini in Italy, the far-right remains at similar levels as in 2014. Thirdly, there's been a historic surge in voter turnout. We've passed the 50% mark. This is the highest in 20 years. In some countries such as Spain, Germany, Poland, Hungary, Romania, and others, there's even been a double-digit growth in voter turnout. So, what does that mean? Well, the good news is that both the higher voter turnout, as well as the debates being held in schools, homes, and offices across Europe in the lead-up to the elections, show that people care about Europe. That's pretty good for European democracy, and it's a good start for the new Parliament and Commission, who will enjoy greater political legitimacy. Also, the gloomy scenario that some had predicted will not take place. The Parliament will clearly remain a pro-European one. Pro-EU parties won in 23 out of 28 member states. However, influence will shift. The traditional parties will no longer be able to play the same role as they did in the past. Instead, they will have to rely on the support of smaller parties. This will make lawmaking a bit more difficult, but it also means we're going in a new direction. So in the coming weeks, many of us will be closely following the nominations of key positions. Today, European leaders are meeting in Brussels to discuss the presidencies of the Commission, of the Council, of the European Central Bank. And you might think that these are simply HR matters, but in fact, they're very clear indicators of how our demands for change will be translated into concrete new policies and strategies.